Welcome everyone to another episode of the Terrain Studio. I'm your host, Sean Morris. Tonight on the Terrain Studio update, another update on the 28mm project that I've been working on. And for those of you who've been following along, I do appreciate it. We are starting to near the end, so don't fret. We got a lot of good stuff still coming up, so hopefully you guys keep sub to the channel and keep coming back for updates. Those that are just new, I encourage you to go back and check out the first 26 parts of the series. So if you got nothing to do for, like several hours, go back and, check it out. So that being said, great day in the studio here. Jamie's package arrived. So with that came some spectacular minis. Got the Canadians, got the Germans, got the Stug. Starting to get all the work done on the project. Came around 2 o'clock today. I was there, picked up the package home, and I've been in studio basically ever since. So, another 10 hours later, here I am. So Jamie's work, speaks for itself. Just going to show you the mini. So right there, so you got some Canadians here that he was kind enough to paint up for this this project, and he did a great job on them. And it's now my job to go back in and make these things, do the work that they're supposed to do and stand out and look good on the project. And with minis like this, that's not really a hard task. What is a hard task is removing these less than awesome metal bases that are at the bottom. Now, gaming wise, no problem. You put those on a round base, add some scenery stuff, you're good to go. Problem is, diorama wise, these bases are a pain because they don't look good. And had I had the figs when I was building it, could I make it look good? Probably, work with it, but the building and stuff, it just doesn't jive. So I got to go in and cut all that base out. It's not really that easy, and you're trimming a little bit of feet, and you nick a knee here and there, and you might thin out a boot kind of thing, but the end result is I'm trying to make that look good after I've butchered it all up. I nicked some elbows and some hats and some helmets and all that good stuff. So, I was on the Facebook today, emailing Jamie, chatting him up, and lo and behold, he made me get out all these paints because apparently that's all the paints that I need to be touching up these figs. Not so much the reds and stuff, but I was using it for something else. But, man, there's a reason I don't paint. There's too many colors. So that being said, I've been doing the touch-ups the best I can to, not butcher up Jamie's work too badly and still have it look good on table. So, yeah, that's been a little bit of a slow process and, a learning curve, and I'm trying to figure it out, mixing some paints and doing the best I can with his formulas without actually being a painter. So it's a challenge. Nonetheless, I got 5 Canadians left to go and a boatload of Germans over here. So it's 2, 4, 6, 7 Germans there, and there was another 2. In total, there was, I want to say 11 Canadians. So, no, 13 Canadians, I think. So a lot of work to do. Now the only downside of any of this stuff, and it's not a downside, no fault to Jamie or anything like that, but we had ordered this awesome tank, which by the way, have a look at this, it's amazing. And the kill rings and everything, great. Some decals on the front, Panzer Lehr Division number 5 Stug that the Canadians had an encounter with. The only downside is the figures that come with this are too dainty. They're really long and thin, and the heads are small, and it really stands out in my eye. And I'm a kind of a bit of a perfectionist, if you didn't know that. So I kind of just really wanted to get some other figures for that. Now, luckily, I have some torsos for some tanks, and they are German, so I'm going to do my very best to match up Jamie's work, and luckily I can only screw up half as bad as I think in my head because I only have half a fig. So I'm going to do my very best to make them not stand out that much, and hopefully you guys won't be too upset about the work that I do in that, and I think the Stug will overpower my poor painting, and we can move on from there. But I really, the guys are too thin, they're too dainty, and they stand out a lot, especially where I'm going to have Germans around them, and I think your eye would be drawn to that, and I'm trying to avoid that. Now my poor painting may be just as bad, but Jamie's only an email away, and he can bail me out if need be. Speaking of bailing out, that's exactly what's going to happen to this Stug pretty soon if this diorama continued. But what's going to happen is some Canadians are going to be popping out of this house, and I was talking to my brother-in-law about the Piat team being down here, and we decided that that's a poor space to put that. That's just me aesthetically thinking it'd be cool to have a guy in a swamp, but realistically, the Stug's gonna be driving by the house, and you know, the Piat team's gonna want to be firing down, you know, elevated area on the back of the tank. So I've since taken his advice and done that. But I want guys in the swamp, so I'm gonna have some cool guys sort of hanging out below this bridge. Obviously, the bridge has been detonated, and they occupied it afterwards. They weren't under there when that went off, but I want to have some sneaky dudes down under here, just kind of, you know, getting ready to sort of move along here, maybe taking some shots up there, or maybe trying to catch some guys that try to, you know, maybe gap this or whatever. But I want to have some guys under the bridge because I want to have some guys on the low side. So that's my thing, and that's my story. But yeah, there's the Stug, and what else is going on? Well, over here, and this is all Jamie's awesome work. I just basically plugged them into what I made. So here we have, you know, the Canadians getting ready for the ambush. I had talked about them, you know, sneaking along the fence. So luckily, he got me some great figs, some great poses, some guys that are really, you know, low down, hunkering, and ready to pop up and ambush. So I took the courtyard and just kind of went with what I thought and where I thought guys may be. So you got a guy in the upper corner there. You know, he's just hanging out, trying to find some spots to spot through the cracks in the boards. Got a guy right behind the gate, and you know he's in a position to just open up the gate a little bit and fire out of there. And then you got a guy right there with a rifle sticking through the hole in the fence. And then this other guy's in the back. You know, he looks like he's kind of flapping out in the wind, but lo and behold, he's a smart dude. He's actually hiding behind the log pile. So he's right behind the log pile, waiting for you know, his part in the ambush. And there's a guy, you know, sticking his gun through the hole in the fence. So I think it looks pretty great, and that's all on account of the figs, you know, being awesome and really fitting in well with that. So it's pretty cool that all three of us were able to work Simo and get something that actually is looking half decent end result. So that's that. And otherwise, I worked on the building, and you know, Dredd did a great job on the building. And he was asking me if I was going to build my own building in the future, and if I felt confident enough to do it. And the answer is no, Dredd, you have more work to do. But what I am doing is I'm adding some stuff to the building, and hopefully that's not detracting too much from it, because I'm really trying to do my best job and you know, fit some furniture and stuff in here just to fill these empty rooms up. So here we have this guy right here, and this is what I'm talking about with cutting the bases. It's just really a big pain. So that guy's actually pinned. You can barely see the pin sticking out there, you know, but I did my very best to make it look like he didn't have a base, and he's kind of walking in this room that has nothing. I'm hoping to put the bookshelf right here just to kind of give that a little bit of, you know, character. So he's kind of, you know, walking sort of this way towards the front of the house. So I just wanted to kind of occupy a part of the back space as opposed to having everybody in the front. I don't think I'm going to have anything going on in the attic because it's an attic, and that's generally what goes on up there. Over here, hopefully you can see that. Maybe not. Maybe you can. Oh, it's really bad, but there is a guy in the window right there, and he has the Piat, and this is the burnt out room. Try to get in here. Let's see, there we go. And obviously the floor is missing there. So what I went in and did is I added, he had a little teeny base, so I went in and added some burnt out boards and charred boards and just kind of fragments of boards, so you can imagine they kind of popped and cracked and were snapping all over. So he's kind of just stepping in a pile of rubble. So I hid his base quite well. I don't think you can really see it at all. That's actually just wood you see. And then I put the dresser in here, and then right in that spot that you can see that kind of looks empty, half burnt, half open, is going to be where the bed's going to go. So the bed's going to fit right there. And I decided I wasn't happy with the bed, so what I did was I took the bed and I made a mattress for it, and I made that out of paper towel, and I just wrapped it up to make it a little bit thick, rounded the edge so it kind of goes down over, and that's going to harden up because it's glued. And then I tore away this section because that's actually going to be the burnt section as the mattress is kind of burning away from this. So that's going to pop in there, and then we'll check that out tomorrow. And then down to this floor here, I got really creative, or you know, really thought I was being creative. I don't know. I put a little grate in front of the fireplace, and there's actually some logs in there with a little bit of cinder. You can't really see it, so it's kind of a wasted detail, but you know, if somebody really wants to check, it's in there. And back there, I made a shelf for the wall. And Just a little bit of white glue there still drying. And then in here I kind of got really crazy and I put a guy here at the table, and then I decided that I was going to make playing cards, so I got cards and printed them off and then, you know, cut them and put them all over the table. And then I got a guy right there waiting at the window. So, you know, this guy's taking cover behind there. I was going to tip the table over, but I wanted to put cards, so I just kind of went with that. But I did have a chair. You know, guys got up abruptly, broke the chair leg. This guy pushed the chair back. The other two were pulled in. You know, maybe the guys upstairs were playing with that. And, you know, just kind of little details. So that's where I'm at, guys, and hopefully you have enjoyed the update. I'm having a lot of fun at this point with the project, you know, just messing around and putting things in and creating a lot of character, and like I said, the figs really help. So hopefully you guys stay tuned and catch me in the next video, and thanks for watching. Cheers.